So if we're going praise break, he doesn't have a manager, right? You guys are kind of operating as
like we
loosely.
We kind of just filled in the role. We always
to
said,
manage. Like
at that time.
Well, I mean, there was like some emails coming in, like certain things that are necessary that are out of producer's scope. But like we had the knowledge, so we're kind of just like, we'll just like it's easy. We'll just answer this email and kind of keep it moving.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, at that time it's like, okay, music videos matter. It's like, okay, we got to shoot a music video. Who's the person having the conversation for that?
Right.
Is it you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Artwork.
That's
you guys.
Yeah.
So y'all were managing without having the title of manager, basically.
I think we just didn't want to call.
You didn't want to call yourselves managers.
That's what it is, because we weren't managers. We were producers.
Sleazy motherfucker.
So we're just like, like we're not managers. Like we always said, we're gonna bring in a real manager. That was always the plan.
That was always the plan.
We will just stretch out this period until we find the right person.
Yeah.
And then we will hand the keys over to the person. Yeah. We will be in charge of all the creative and the music, and this person will run the business, and that is going to be that. That was the plan.
And then there was the conversations over the years of like, okay, what about this person? And he would be like, nah.
He would meet with them. You guys would meet with them, and then
yes, or informally.
Yeah.
Informally, we knew the people who we were all sort of considering. Okay, like what about maybe this person could do it, and then there was kind of a point where, like a few in a row, like established, respected managers who they didn't know we were thinking of maybe they could help us or maybe they could manage. If we mentioned, it's. Don't have a manager yet. We're still thinking about management. They would be like, well, "I thought you were the manager."
Right?
Like, no, we're not managing.
Right.
You're already doing it.
They would tell you.
Yeah, you're already doing it. Just keep doing it. You know, like we had a good conversation with Jason Murray, and he was just like,
Jason Murray.
Yeah, he was just like, you did the hard part already.
Yeah. You
got people to care about. That's the hard part. Now it's just you got to be competent, get help when you need help. But. Yeah. So we had a few conversations like that. So that combined with Daniel just not wanting other people. I know. Why do we need that?
Yeah.
Right.
We have, by this point, it's different periods where the team was really tight. It's Anthony, Liam, Kim, Marco, Liam and Marco early, Kayvon and Sean came in halfway through the process. Kayvon was actually always in the team, but Jamie halfway through maybe. So it's a tight team.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like that, okay, getting the help when you need it, adding those layers when you need it. But that's how we approached it.
And I think we also, Jordan and I are very objective people.
Yeah.
So we never also wanted to get in the way of the progress. And so we always said, okay, well, we don't want to put a ceiling on this. So if we feel like we are in a position where we're holding this thing back, we don't want to. Like, ultimately, what's most important is...
I remember you guys saying that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
I remember you guys saying that all the time.
So that's why, as producers, we were just like, well, we're not real managers. So it's like, we don't want to put a ceiling on this because of just inexperience and just, ignorance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, to his point, a combination of Daniel being like, well, no, we're doing something and, it's working. So why would we switch it up? And then guys like Jason being like, you guys got it. Just, trust yourselves. We were kind of just like, all right, cool. So then we changed our approach and said, well, we're going to take this as far as we can until we feel like we hit a ceiling. And then once that day comes, then we'll go and have a different conversation or bring somebody else in for help.
Right.
And luckily that day just never came.
And I think Daniel gets a lot of credit for sticking and staying independent and committing to that.
True.
Because even going through, that experience where we have a hit, everyone wants to sign us.
Yeah.
Taking every single meeting. Every single meeting is it's weighing on him. And then we kind of had one last meeting. It was the Rock Nation meeting. If you remember. And it was a good meeting. And we were in there and they were asking us, how did you build this? How did you get to this point? Because by this point we had done shows, we had merch, and we had these things, right? We had the streaming relationships. And we explained our process and how we leveraged all of the grants, and we had a bit more back then. We were talking about Much Fact and things that we had. And the first album was made with Factor and Much Fact and OAC. So we explained this process, and one of the A&Rs in the meeting, it's kind of just like, "It sounds like you guys got what you need." He was like,
all right.
He said in a meeting trying to convince us to work with them that you don't need us.
Yeah, yeah.
We had that moment. It was after
he had that. He or she.
it was just honest. I love him for that. It was just an
I was
honest.
gonna say it, because
Who was that?
very often.
It was Ty.
Amazing.
Yeah,
he's a real one.
He was like, oh, that sounds a lot like kind of how we built it independently. We just use different money.
It's true.
But we use different investment. But that's what he was explaining. He's like, oh, that sounds familiar. You guys just use grant funding.
Yeah.
But he was like, he was like, yeah, it sounds like you guys got what you need.
Yeah.
And we were all just like, I guess we do. Why,
what are we
doing here?
Right.
Yeah.
And then I think after that, Ashton was
shout out to Ty by the way, man.
Yeah.
He was
solid,
solid dude. Always been solid. When we were going through, because it's crazy. Our bidding wars were happening at the same time as your bidding war.
And we'd have our like monthly or whatever check-in.
How's that meeting with? How's them? It's good. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
We were all taking notes, and because it was you two and Danny, and it was Byron Wilson, Jesse, and myself who were going through these meetings. I remember, and we had the meeting with Rock Nation, and Ty, still to this day, man, he's the homie. He owed me a rematch in Domino's, by the way. But I remember when we made the decision, because we ended up going with a major label, and when we made that decision, we called, but Jesse led the call on the labels that were at the end there, but that we didn't decide to go with. We called them first, and we said, appreciate everything that you guys have done, but we're decided to go somewhere else. It felt like for us, that was the thing that we felt like we needed to do because people were working so hard to get our business. And I remember
it's very like Canadian of
it's very nice. It's very polite.
I love that.
It's very polite. Yeah, it was very Canadian. But Ty, I remember he was like running on a treadmill, and we had him on a speaker, and he's just like, and then he stops running. He's like, Jesse, that's why I fuck with you. He's like, nobody makes these phone calls. Right, he's like, you're good in our books forever. Like you never got to sweat with anything to do with Rock Nation.
Awesome.
We're fucking with you guys forever.
Yeah.
True to his word, man.
Wow.
He's always been there.
Yeah, I love that.
He's good people. Yeah, in that sense. But you guys, so we're going through that at the same time as you guys.
Yeah.
And then shout out to Danny because he's saying, no, we can do this.
Yeah, there was kind of two things that happened. It was, we did all the meetings. And we were all kind of feeling the same thing. And then I think it was just after one of our meetings where Danny was just like, I'm not really feeling it,
Yeah.
And then Apple Music happened. That's, so like timing.
Walk us through.
Talk about timing being so crucial. Apple Music was a new streaming service that had unlimited funding and is competing with Goliath, Spotify, who's been established for years. They just started, right? Yeah, so they said, okay, how can we? And their approach was different. They didn't want it to be as algorithmic. It was about curation for Apple Music. So that what people who work there explained to us is like, because that's a priority, they want to make a more of a curated experience. They want to show fans, we think you should listen to this artist, not just take the algorithm from like other things and say, okay, we're going to put this here because of up and down, kind of like the stock market. That's what algorithms kind of feel like, right? And Apple was more curated. And what they wanted to show was that they can, through their curation process, they can promote an artist to become successful. They wanted to prove that. So they did it with, I think the first artists were like Bryson Tiller was one of the first ones where they really got
and Black,
and Black, right?
Yeah,
these are major label artists. So what they explained to us was why. So it was like, why do you care so much about? It felt like they were invested in Daniel's success, without any actual investment, no money, no anything like that, right?
And for context, this is 2016. 2016. This is before.
This is
Instagram, Reels, TikTok.
This is correct.
Yeah. This is Get You. Yeah. So this is Get You that comes out.
So it's still it's
not even best part.
This is it's at the end of SoundCloud era.
Yes.
Going into streaming. Streaming was probably still iTunes at this.
Yeah. That was. I mean, the digital downloads were happening at that point, even at that point. Yeah.
And what they explained to us was, if we make a like Black or Bryson, if we help that artist be successful, all the credit goes to the label.
Major label.
It's a label. And no one ever considers us a label because they go, you just don't have a label. It's like, no, we are a label. But it's like, no, they just think, oh, you're unsigned, as if you're automatically supposed to be signed.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, because...
No, but that's an important note, which we'll get back to. Yeah.
So they explain that Apple Music can take more credit for helping Daniel Caesar be successful. And so when they looked at it, said, so you already have this groundswell, you've already done these shows on your own, you have music that's starting to go, let's see if we can help it.
Yeah.
And so what they explained to us, they said, the most we could do, this is curated, but we still have to go based on the reaction. So if we put a song in front of the fans, they don't like it, we have to move to the next song.
Sure.
Right? And people love to get you. So that was the one. That was the kind of experiment song. But it came at the expense of Spotify support.
Right.
So Spotify said he's an Apple artist.
Yeah.
So we didn't get any Spotify support at all. And remember, Spotify is
massive at that
They've
time.
Always, right?
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, well, we have to really invest in this relationship because it's all we have. It's the only one, right? So, but people really like to get you. So it just kept on going. But it was interesting because because it's pre TikTok and Reels and all this. It wasn't viral. Daniel Caesar's never gone viral for music. I don't think so because we could see the trends, right?
I'd argue that.
It's like for us, from our perspective, it's just
steady, slow burn.
For a year and a half. From 2016 when we released it. Yeah. It's kind of it was just that.
There was never this crazy moment.
There was never a big loud peak. Right. It was just every week there would be someone else that would post it, and then it would start to just the momentum. Yeah. And it just didn't stop. Yeah. Yeah. Until the album came a year later.
I remember the moment where it was like, this is massive, is when you guys announced the tour and went on sale. And I remember you were putting up tweets, this place sold out, this place sold out. And it was like all within 24 hours. I was like, I'll just buy you. And you guys did 5 at the Danforth. Yeah. It was like you put up the first, so put up the second, I was like, oh, these guys are out of here. This is crazy. Like,
but that was like the closest thing you got to being viral in terms of like
that was like the viral moment.
Yeah, but that was a year later, year and a half later, because it was after the album.
It was a year later.
So
a year after the album came out.
So I'm saying that's
from when the moment he just described.
From Get You.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean. Like that felt, but it was a steady sort of climb to that. So a year and a half later, we were having those moments where it was just like it was that big.